Good afternoon, Dan. Great to see you.
Great to see you too.
So listen, we are going to be talking around the back office. It's an interesting time at the moment because if I look across the TRN membership, everybody is looking about optimization, doing things the smart way. Obviously, a lot of AI stuff, but equally, how do I get the efficiency, scalability? How do I do this stuff smart? So we're going to chew the cud for the next 25 minutes, all around this. Just for anyone that doesn't know Workwell, do you want to just brief 60 seconds?
Yeah, 100%. So the Workwell Group is a provider of contractor solution and pay and bill solutions. We cover sort of a large area of the supply network into recruitment agencies that ranges from umbrella, CRM, IR35 solutions, funding, back office services and accountancy solutions for recruitment agencies. Workwell Outsourcing specifically, which is the business that I work for, is an accumulation of a number of different sort of funding, payroll and back office providers, from T-Boss, EVP Services, Eden, Pay and Bill, Centric Flow. So there's a number of businesses that have been brought together to offer a complete, full back office solution to the recruitment sector.
Yeah, and you just merged with our friends at PGC, which is
correct. Yes. So we've recently sort of merged with PGC, and the offering that we've been able to sort of put together with them is really good to the agencies that we work with.
Yeah, I love it. Good. So, right, so let's get into the nitty gritty. Terminology point of view, because some people talk front office, middle office, back office. How just describe what are we talking about when we're in your language when we talk about recruitment back office?
Yeah, so it's quite a general term, isn't it, to be honest, Gordon? And I often find myself when I'm speaking to agencies asking what they feel they mean by recruitment back office. Because everyone's understanding is a little bit different, and to be honest, the responses I get are always quite varied. Ultimately, back office services are there to support the operation of an organisation, obviously specific to recruitment, what we're discussing today. So kind of anything that falls after the process of a contractor or a permanent placement being made can fall under the back office remit, and that's dictated sort of by the agency themselves on where they put that back office remit. That can range from anything from literally a CRM system all the way through to a solution that offers accountancy, year-end account submission and VAT returns and everything like that as well. So it is a very vague term, but to me, it's almost everything that happens after a contractor or a candidate is placed, which supports with the operation of a recruitment business.
Got it. Okay. So let's if I think about TRN membership, we've got hundreds of members who are looking to build an efficient business. We did an exercise recently where we said to every member, what are you outsourcing and to who? And it was a really interesting exercise because some people are all over outsourcing and other people are kind of look at it with a little bit of reservation. So, you work with so many recruitment companies. Why do they choose to outsource? Is it purely cost, or what are the reasons?
To be honest, I would say that cost is definitely a factor. 100%, but there's a number of reasons. So I think, to be honest, one of the main points is actually an experienced team running your operation effectively, because it isn't easy to find the right team with the right experience to run your back office. You've obviously got to find them people, you've got to train them, and they've also got to understand your business and recruitment and the bigger picture to run that operation for your agency. So to have almost an experienced team sat there to be outsourced to can be a real sort of safety net for these recruitment agencies, particularly when you're starting up and you feel you've got a lot to learn about running a business. That level of support and expertise is actually far more crucial than how much it's going to cost you to put that in place. I think that's definitely a factor. Leading on from that, I've mentioned the systems as well. So the integrated systems that you'll get from an outsourced provider, for example, a pay and bill software, that alone to sort of have that off the shelf and white labeled as your own, that'll be quite expensive. And then you've got to spend the hours and the time training on that. And as we know, in recruitment, time is money ultimately, and that's very important to people. If you just set up your own business, do you want to be spending hour after hour learning how to use a piece of pay and bill software that really, there's experts out there that already know how to use it, and you can outsource to them for, a fraction of your sort of week profit. You are right with sort of the cost of employing your own internal staff, as I've mentioned, can be quite expensive. How much is it going to cost you for someone that can run your pay and bill software, and then when you reach the point when that person can't take care of the credit control anymore, and you need a dedicated credit controller, as well as that, coupled with the cost of the systems, as I've mentioned, it can just start to build up and build up. And obviously, if you're starting from fresh, where's that capital coming from to pay for it?
Yeah. What cost saving typically is achievable?
For an established agency, we look at numbers between sort of 20 and 30% on their existing overheads.
Okay.
That range is significantly depending on how they're currently set up. So if they've got their own sort of funding solution, and then they've got in-house staff and for systems, and they've got a finance department in-house, that saving can be, it can be 20%, it can be 30%, it could be even more.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's hard to quantify the saving for a new startup recruitment agency because there's no existing cost already, and it's not that they either go down the outsourcing route or they go down the route of doing it themselves until they bring someone in to do it. And ultimately, that's kind of their decision, and we're here to kind of inform on that, but it's their choice as the business owner at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I guess for the smaller operator, the startups, it's the time piece almost as much as the money. If I can get 20% of my time back, then what can I do with that? Love that.
Yeah, 100%.
So what about? I mean, the reasons for doing it on paper are fairly obvious, but recently we looked at outsourcing something, and internally we had this big concern. Are they as good as us doing it internally? What do we need to worry about? So what kind of what concerns are you hearing when people are considering it?
So there's always a concern of quality. Can it be as good as doing it in-house myself, where I'm sort of in control of it? And there's kind of 2 points there. There's quality, and there's a loss of control that you feel if you've got someone sat 2 meters to the side of you that's responsible for running your pay and bill process. And that's a great point. Yes, there is an element of loss of control, because you do have to pick up the phone or send an email rather than sort of march down the office and speak to someone. I agree, like that's definitely a concern. There's also sort of the security and accuracy of the data that you hold. So there's a lot of sensitive information there. Can we be sure that that's going to be taken care of properly? In terms of the weekly cycle, obviously there's a lot of manual entry involved if your systems aren't linked up and not integrated yet. How can you be sure that the accuracy of that data is going to be as good as outsourcing that? And that's a genuine concern and questions that I regularly come up and sort of speak on. It's not something that we sort of need to hide, because they're genuine questions that need to be asked, and the right outsourcing provider will have answers to those questions and be able to reassure you that doesn't need to be a concern.
So how would you reassure me then if I said, right, Dan, I need to outsource this, but convince me that you're right?
So regarding, if we take one example, so the accuracy of the weekly payroll data, we have a pay and bill software system that it's our system called Evertime. And we have open API integrations with a number of the leading sort of CRM providers out there. So by having that open API integration, we're actually removing that manual entry sort of piece that would normally be done. Because with your CRM, you've got data that you're putting into there, you're creating the booking, you might have an online timesheet function in there as well.
Yeah.
We receive that data via open API integration rather than export and import, which removes any manual intervention that might need to take place in sort of a typical process, and really sort of reduces the amount of errors involved.
Would you and what are service level agreements?
Yeah, so our SLA covers everything from sort of security of data and accuracy of the weekly payroll data. We also send validations to the agency, so we process their data and they receive a validation from us for them to check through. It breaks down everything that they need to know that would reassure them the correct data is being processed on a weekly basis and the right candidates being paid the right amount and their invoices are being correct out to clients.
Yeah. Is there a time point of view? Is there a timing in my growth as a business when I should be doing this? Or
that really, to be honest, it really varies from sector to sector, and then a lot of people look at turnover and they think, right, when I reach this turnover, this is the time that I need to look at outsourcing, or the time that I need to look at moving my funding provider, etc. But it is really unique to the business. What outsourcing offers you, primarily the in-house payroll and back office and accounts, etc., I feel doesn't offer you is reliability and scalability.
Yeah. So
if you are reaching a point where you've got single points of failure, and you've got in-house members of staff that are, they're at capacity, and it's going to cost you another, I don't know, 30,000-40,000 pounds to bring in a member of staff to process the extra 10 or 15 timesheets that you've got coming in from a new client each week. That's when you've really got sort of your back's against the wall from that point of view, because it might only be a couple of £100 more profit into your weekly payroll, but what it is it's an on cost of 30 to 40 grand because you've not got the in-house staff to sort of facilitate that. And I guess what it's about is the way that you can look at it is just your sort of services, look at your processes every 6 months and find out where them single points of failure are, and can you eradicate them internally, or is it something that you're going to have to look at in terms of outsourcing?
So it is again, and again, it's interesting on business optimization. You can't do anything without mapping out your workflows and your process. So in order to effectively outsource and make the right decisions, you've got to be all over your data and your processes, and then you can work out where the opportunities are.
Exactly that. And well, some agencies do it from day one, some agencies don't do it at all, and it is genuinely a business leader's decision. I think it's about being informed about as much about looking in the market and what outsourcing solutions are out there for you, because there are options where yes, you have to outsource your full back office because that's part of the contract with the outsourcing provider that you go to. But what you've also got now more than I've ever seen before is almost broken down back office solutions. So you can just outsource your pay and bill. You don't have to outsource your credit control with it. You can just outsource your sort of accountancy solution to a recruitment specific accountancy solution without having to give them your pay and bill and your credit control if you don't want to. There's a lot of solutions out there now that are integrated but still broken down into sort of a pick and mix solution as such. So you're not having to give up full control. It's just an element that you can't facilitate in-house. And it's about recognizing that and being aware of what's going on in your business. And I guess the reason you outsource is so that you can work on your business rather than within it. And you can fall victim to that quite quickly if you are getting involved in the day-to-day operations as a business leader.
Where are you outsourcing? Are you offshoring, or because
in terms of our pay and bill solution? So we have an onshore pay and bill solution and credit control solution.
Okay, yeah, because quite a lot of people say to me, outsourcing to where? Where is the best place to outsource to?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's definitely a question around outsourcing. We have a team in India as well, but they deal with the more transactional side of the solution. We specifically have onshore contacts as well that are managing the process.
Okay, got it. So then, all right. Well, let's say I've got my mind around the benefits of outsourcing. My concerns have been overcome. How do you select them? Because Workwell, we work with you very closely. We know the great feedback you get. What is it about? How do you make the right decision?
To be honest, there's no right answer to that, Gordon, in terms of you won't just walk up to a provider and know that they're right for you. It's about doing your homework and invest. I think before you do anything, you've got to know what you want, which is why going back to sort of my first point on what is Recruitment Back Office. That's why I have that conversation with agencies to understand what they mean by back office. And when they ask for our support with it, what exactly is it that they need?
Yeah.
And we can have that consultative conversation with them and find out exactly what they need from a back office provider. Because as I've said, it might be that you only need to outsource an element of your back office rather than the whole operation.
Yeah.
It might be that you think you only need to outsource an element of it, but realistically, you'll outsource one part and then you still need help with the rest.
Yeah.
It's about being aware as a business owner when you've reached that point that you need to outsource and identifying exactly what it is you need support with. Because I think a lot of people would be amazed by what the time saving is when you just integrate your solutions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of agencies out there using a CRM that isn't integrated with the middle office software that they use. Or they might have middle office software which then isn't integrated with Xero or Sage or QuickBooks, whichever financial software they're using. And you can't, in a week-on-week process, when you're just trying to get sort of through the week, get all your workers paid, get your clients invoiced, and make sure there's no issues. You can't identify or quantify how much time you're spending on each of them individual parts. It's very difficult to say, I've just spent 3 or 4 hours doing that, because you just try to get to the end of the week. And that's what a lot of agencies are experiencing that we deal with, certainly, where it's not a smooth sort of operation. It's just, let's get to the end of the week, pay the workers, invoice the clients, and hope that next week's a better week. And that's almost already gone too far then, because it's very hard to sort of undo that mess. We do work with agencies and sort of help them get out of that experience that they've gone through. But I would say, from my point of view, it's a lot easier to know your options from the get-go, look at what you might need to support with in the future, rather than letting yourself get into that situation and then almost having to click the rewind button, because that's when it costs money. Anything that you've got to do that's working backwards before you can go forwards is a real cost and time. So
but it is interesting. It's the decision making that gets me looking at my back office, when so much of my energy will be put in towards making sure the sales, marketing, delivery, sourcing, which is the core of the business. So your sort of concept is just make sure you regularly review it, whether that's every 6 months.
And have a conversation with someone in the space. Whether that's me, whether that's someone else, within our group or wherever. So an outsourcing provider will have that conversation with you, and it'll actually help you identify, even if you aren't aware of it yourself, areas that you could get some help with to help that process run smoother. And also it'll help you run through in your head what is right and what is wrong within the business, what you need support with, what you could be doing differently. And just that consultative conversation with someone that is working within outsourcing and understands the level of support and the different solutions that are available can really help a business push forward. The amount of agencies that might not have been outsourcing, but then we've supported with a solution, and the growth that they've experienced in what's relatively a small period of time in recruitment, it's astonishing. We speak to agencies that the feedback that we get is, it's allowed me to work on my business rather than within it, and therefore been far more of a success, and it almost pays for itself in terms of the cost of outsourcing, because they're able to spend more time on them revenue creating activities and less on payroll queries or invoice credits.
It does, that if you went to any recruitment business leader and saying, are you interested in making money, saving time, then the answer is yes. And so do you get people just reaching out to you and fishing, saying, right, how much time, how much cost, how much time, and how much cost can you save me?
We do to an extent, but they're always coming.
I do that.
Yeah, but they're always coming from a point of view where that if when someone asks me a question like that, so they might send me a message saying, I want to outsource this, isn't this? How much would it cost? I know that they're generally people that are in a bit of bother because they don't feel like they've got the time to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But they want to know about it because they need that level of support.
Yeah.
And there's a way to manage that in terms of, right, let's find the time, let's make the time, whether it has to be outside of our working hours, whether it has to be, whenever, we'll have that conversation. I'll really find out what you need, and then I can give you an accurate cost and time saving on that, rather than this is how much it costs roughly, and you making a decision based on a couple of numbers on your screen, whether you'll take that support or not, because you're just taking that on sort of the value on the screen, but it might save you money elsewhere that you don't even know you're spending.
Yeah. Most times when I ask the question, what do you need to be an awful lot better at? People will talk about BD, the marketing, sourcing appropriate. So the focus is definitely front end.
Yeah, well, that suffers, doesn't it, if you've got
a
dysfunctional back office, because ultimately you want to focus on sales, you want to focus on marketing, you want to focus on AD, but you can't, because you can't facilitate what you've currently got and sort of running through the business. And particularly recruitment agencies in their early years, their focus has to be BD, sales, marketing, and that front end sort of face-to-face service that they're providing with the clients and the candidates. So they really can't afford to be worried about what's going on in the back office, which is why there are specific solutions for new startup recruitment agencies, which give them that time and that focus on the front end rather than worrying about the back office.
Yeah. What trends are you seeing? Are you seeing outsourcing becoming more common?
To be honest, what surprised me the most in the last couple of years is the larger agencies moving from in-house to outsourced. It's like the penny has fallen with them that is the way forward. Because I think when I first started doing this, 7 or 8 years ago, the aim was to always eventually move in-house. It was, I'll fund payroll back office until I've grown to a point, and then I'll get my own invoice discount facility and I'll take people on in the house. But because the cost of that has risen significantly, and the responsibility as an employer of them staff, and them staff are entitled to maternity pay, sick pay, they're entitled to the holidays a year. There's no way of you covering that when they take that leave. And I think the larger agencies now are realizing that the way forward is outsourcing, and that they're looking to sort of go backwards to go forwards almost.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. No, fantastic. And just briefly, what makes Workwell special?
I think we're the only sort of solution provider that can be a single sole supplier to an experienced recruiter looking to start their own agency and then run their own agency all the way to sort of, they can be as established as they want. We have a solution which will work for them, and we're able to be a sole supplier. If you look in the space, I'm 99.9% sure that we are the only one that can be a sole supplier. Yeah, okay. Love it. You don't have them 5 or 6 contacts on a weekly basis to get through your payroll and billing and invoicing and paying your contractors. Yeah. Dan, it's such a fascinating space, because even though it might not be as sexy as some areas of growing and running a business, it always comes back to time. And if we can find a better way to do stuff, then we absolutely should be doing it, because we'll never quite be as good as we could be on the other stuff. So, no, that's being efficient and effective, isn't it? And that's what the industry needs and wants. And I'm trying agency by agency to go out there and help them and inform and offer the knowledge that I've got on the outsourcing services that we can provide and are out there for them. Yeah, no, I love it. Listen, it's been great. Really good to catch up and chat. And every time I talk to you and the stuff that you do, it's a solution we should be considering. So love it.
we've just got to give ourselves the time to think about it.
Yeah.
How much time? How important is it? Do I want to save money? Do I want to save cost? And why wouldn't you? Love it. Dan, listen, thank you for dropping in. Have a great rest of the week and have a great run up to Christmas, dare I say.
Yeah. Scary, isn't it?
We will catch you up very soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon, Gordon.
Yeah, good to see you.